day is it Tuesday afternoon. As you just heard, the session will be recorded. Links to the recording and a PDF of this presentation will be shared afterwards. So let's just jump right in. All right, so I am Lauren Amos, the Director of Small Business Development here at the Illinois SBDC at Bill Brownsville. If you are unfamiliar with SBDCs, we provide one-on-one advising for entrepreneurs at every stage of business. We provide, in addition to the advising, we do workshops, trainings like the one that you are joining us for this afternoon, and connections to small business resources to help you start your business, grow your business, and eventually, hopefully, do some succession planning and exiting your business. This program, the SBDC, and by the way, SBDC stands for Small Business Development Center, is funded in part through a cooperative agreement with the U.S. Small Business Administration and the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity in partnership with our host organization, which is Urban Juncture Foundation. So we are going to start with a short or a very small 2-question poll, just so that I can get an idea for who's in the room. 2 questions, if you answer those quickly for us. The first is, have you written a full business plan? So either yes, no, or you started one, but you haven't finished it. And then the second, have you ever formally pitched your business? So not just kind of a casual conversation, but a formal pitch. It doesn't have to be to investors. It could be a sales pitch. It can be to your local alderman's office, but have to actually pitch your business to anyone. So we can answer those really quickly, and then we'll move on. So we have, all right, we have some that have pitched their business, no full business plans done up to this point. All right, okay. So give you a little roadmap of what we're going to talk about today. We are going to, at a high level, talk about business plans, pitch decks, and then elevator pitches, and distinguishing between the two, and then spend the rest of our time together talking specifically about your pitch deck and how to develop a compelling pitch deck. So let's talk business plan. Your business plan is a written document. It describes in detail how your business is going to establish itself, how it's going to go about achieving its goals. It's a written roadmap, right, for your business. It includes information about the industry as a whole, competitor research, your marketing plan and objectives, financial projections, your operational plans. It typically is 10 to 100 pages, they say. Always like to give the disclaimer, no one is reading 100 pages. So in every way, less is more, right? This is going to be mostly written, think your term papers back in your school days, with some charts and some visuals. Your plan is primarily for you, right? So that's something I always like to point out to people. Most people think, oh, I have to write a business plan when I want to go and apply for a loan. That's not, I mean, yes, that is true, but that's not really what your business plan is for. Your business plan is for you to determine and be able to suss out how you're going to go about starting and then ultimately operating this business. Most importantly, this is your opportunity to kick the tires, to identify the holes in either your concept or your operational plan, for you to figure out the things you don't know and then go research them, find them out, and now you know, right? It is a living document. When you create your business plan, it is not I create it, I get it bound and it's pretty and I sit it on the shelf and I never look at it again. Each business I have been a part of has the easily 10 plus versions of the business plan, right? So as your business grows and as it changes, your business plan should grow and change. As you look to move to each next step of your business, you should revisit your business plan and update it. I came across this metaphor some time ago, and I really, really like it. I'm gonna weave it through the next couple of slides, which is your business plan is your house. Okay, it is all the details. All it's the found. You got your foundation, you have your structure, and then you have all the details inside. Your pictures on the wall, your furniture. It's everything. Okay. Really quickly, I forgot because I was ready to jump in to note. So any questions that you have, please drop them in. If you look at the bottom, there's a question and answer section. We are not using the chat today. We're going to use the question and answer section. And my colleague, Rebecca, is kind of manning the phone lines, if you will, for me, and she will check the chat. And if it is something that check the Q&A section. And if it's something that's pertinent to what we're talking about right now, then we'll address it then. If it's something that's more overall, we'll save it to the end and address it there. So as I just peeked in the chat, I see that there's a question. I do not have a business plan, but an executive summary. Does the summary provide the same info? Yes and no. So your executive summary is just that, it's the summary. It's the major headlines of your plan. It's not your full plan. If you go to present it to, a lender or potential investor or the like, they're going to want to see your full plan and all its nitty-gritty detail. And as we progress through the next couple of slides, it is going to be a little bit clearer, kind of your summary version versus your full plan version. Okay. So again, think about your business plan as your house, all right, the full thing. Then you have your pitch deck. Your pitch deck, which is where we're going to spend most of our time today, is a summary of your business plan. So it's going to cover the same major sections. And as the question was just asked, like the executive summary, it covers the same major sections. You'll have all those sections, but it's going to be a paragraph, right, versus the full details. And so in your pitch deck, you're going to have all the same sections of your business plan. The goal of your pitch deck is to show investors who you, or whoever you're pitching to, who you are, where you are, and the most important, where you're going, right? The intention of it, the purpose for it, is to kickstart the conversation about whatever it is that you're asking for, right? Your presentation, the format of this is usually a PowerPoint. It's usually an actual deck, and it's 10 to 20 slides. If you print it out, right, that's 10 to 20 pages. It is mostly visual. It's something that you're going to, versus text. It's something that you're going to use, this is where you want to wow them. You want to get their attention and get their wheels turning. And so usually it's easier to achieve visually than it is with someone reading a bunch of text, right? And because the end game of this is for them to be like, I want to know more. And then you will provide to them your full business plan. So if the business plan is your house, the pitch is like your front window, in a non-creepy way, right? If you look through front window, it gives you a glimpse or a peek into what the whole thing is about, right? If you were to look in the front window of someone's house, right, they don't have their curtains open or whatever, you get a slight feel for what this house looks like, what their decor is kind of feeling like, how they have things set up, again, in a totally non-creepy, non-peeping Tom kind of way. And then you have your elevator pitch. So your elevator pitch is your movie trailer. It is the coming attraction. This is 10 to 30 seconds. It's verbal. So we've gone from a written plan, which is like a research paper, to a pitch deck, which is a presentation that's 10 to 20 slides. Now we're talking fully verbal, 10 to 30 seconds. This is for someone that you want to just grab them really quickly for an opportunity at a longer conversation. And this is where you use your positioning statement, where you say, we are X and we want to help Y, whoever your customer, your audience is, to do Z, whatever the problem is that you're solving or whatever gap in the marketplace that you're addressing. A good elevator pitch always results in them having a follow-up question, or them wanting to engage some more, they should want to know more. Using our house analogy, business plan is the full house, the pitch is the front window, your elevator pitch is your curb appeal. We all know when it's time to move, and we're looking at, where we want to live, more likely than not, we drive by right quick, right? In Chicago and Illinois at large, ideally you want to drive by in the summertime because it all looks real docile and, not eventful in the winter, but then it may be, overbussing in the summer, right? But you want to drive by, you want to see, what does it look like on the outside? What does the surroundings look like? Is this something that I want to invest more in getting to know more about? Same thing with your elevator pitch. So visually, right, what I just said, got your business plan, a super big thing. Your pitch deck is smaller, which fits inside, and your elevator pitch is the even smaller little core, little nucleus of it, right? Think of it kind of like an onion, and it just kind of extends out. All right. So now we're going to start, for the rest of this conversation, we are talking about your pitch deck, not your elevator pitch, but your pitch deck. So some potentially unorthodox advice, particularly if you are a new company or if you have never written a full business plan before. I suggest that people start with their pitch deck first. And I suggest that because, again, it's all the same sections as your business plan, but a full business plan is overwhelming to write, to stare at a blank template of any sort and have to put in every nitty-gritty detail from scratch can be very overwhelming. So if you start with your pitch, one of the software applications that we use is called LivePlan. LivePlan, I think, is a really good business planning software tool. And LivePlan starts with a pitch where, again, it's all the same sections of your business plan, but it forces you to address those areas in a set character limit. All right, it's do your pitch as Twitter. You have to write your headline in 140 characters. You have to write the problem that you're solving, and I think it's 200 characters or something like that. That forces you to get the thought out there, get to the point, get it done, and then once you have your pitch, you know the main direction you're going for all of these sections. And now you can take that as a starting point for your business plan to expound on it and to, get into details. No, feel, do. So I went to a conference last year, and one of the sessions was on pitching and on lectures and the thing. And this is something that really stuck with me. When you pitch to someone or give a lecture or a talk or whatever, three important things you want to consider is know, feel, do. At the end of the information, whatever you're presenting and whoever you're presenting it to, what do you want them to know? How do you want them to feel? And what do you want them to do? If you've covered those three things, chances are you've done a good job. If you have not covered those things, let's go back to the drawing board and make sure that we cover those three things. Something to keep in mind as we think about pitch going for the next, slides, keep in mind, who are you pitching to? You don't pitch just for investors, just for money. This can be a sales pitch. This can be a pitch for a potential partner. This can be a pitch to a landlord or a real estate developer. This can be a pitch to your local politician. Like if you're in Chicago, which I'm sure most, if not all of you are, your alderman, that alderman has to want whatever businesses is in their community. More often than not, new developments have to go before the community itself to get, their support or their buy-in. So you want to keep in mind who your audience is as you're writing your pitch and as you're identifying your know, feel, do. Your know is going to be the same across probably all of those audiences, very broadly speaking. But your feel and your do are going to be different. You want the salesperson to walk away feeling something a bit different than you want the alderman to walk away feeling about something, because they care about very different things, right? So I want to keep that in mind. Things to consider. You are selling yourself and your team. This is Yes, it's about your product or service or concept. It absolutely is. But the biggest thing that it is about yourself and your team, particularly, well, with anything, not just investors, anyone that is quote unquote buying into your business and whatever that buy-in looks like, they are buying into you, the proprietor, and your team. When people invest money, right? You see all these, big tech startups, and they get all these billions of dollars for a product that never makes any money. What they were buying into was that person. They believed in that person. So you really want to sell yourself and your team. It should be a story, not a presentation. Design a theme and a storyline that you want to weave through each slide. You want to take them on a journey. You want to tell anecdotes. You want to tell personal stories. You want to engage people. People remember stories before they remember anything else. I can give you easily off the top of my head 4 anecdotes or stories that I've heard in various lectures or pitches, even if I don't fully remember the person's name or, or other even pertinent details, but I remember that story. So you want to tell a story. Keep it concise, 10 to 20 slides. You want to cover the main sections of your business plan. You want to be as visual and visually engaging as possible. Use simple terms. Do not use technical jargon unless you are pitching to a potential partner who is also an expert in the technical side of this field. But if you are selling, a medical device, or your service is something, you're an accountant, right? The person that you're talking to very likely has no background or very little background in what it is you're talking to them about. So you don't want to use technical jargon. Be prepared with detailed backup to anything that you're presenting. While I said before, you want to start with your pitch if you've never written a full plan and then do your plan. Don't start with the pitch and then say, okay, I'm going to take this, I'm going to go start talking to people, and you haven't done the plan, because they're going to want to know the details behind the concise information that you presented to them, and you want to have that readily available to easily be able to hand over to them. Last but certainly not least, don't forget your ask. I've seen beautiful presentations. I mean, fire. And they had all kinds of flowery language and did all the things. And when it was over, I still didn't know what they wanted. I didn't know what they wanted. I know who they wanted it from, what they were going to do with it. Don't forget your ask. All right. From here on out, we're going to look at some examples. Disclaimer, this is confidential. This is proprietary. This is not made up. This is a real business. This is a real client who gave us permission to use some of his pitch slides. We worked on his pitch with him and was quite happy with how it came out. But this is real. Okay. So, title slide. Do not waste a slide of your 10 to 20 on a title slide. Like when you all came into the proverbial room that we're all in right now, you saw a title slide up. When you're pitching, do not do that, right? Your first slide should have some real content in it. Start with your headline statement, right? So that they know who you are, what you're talking about before anything else. So his first slide, Last Lap Corner Store, the specialty running store on Chicago's South Side. Last Lap is of the community and for the community. If I walked out of the room, I'm an investor that he's pitching to. It's me and a group of folks. And I got an important phone call. And I had to leave the presentation soon as he started. And this is the only thing that I saw. I know what this business is. I know what it is. I know where it is. He's already evoked some emotion and feeling. I know who he's targeting. I know all that from, 2 sentences, right? I see his logo at the bottom, boom. That is way more impactful than what's on the lower right-hand side, which is my logo and my contact information. If I had to leave immediately, before he even really got started, and all I saw was the first thing, I don't know what this is. I don't know is it a store? Is it someone's I don't know what this is, right? So use your first slide to grab them, bring them on in right away. Immediately after that, now let's talk about who you are, because what did I say? They're buying into you. So this is where you want to tell them who you are, Tell them about your team if you have the team. Tell them about your credentials, your track record. If you've done this before, if you have never done this before, let's talk about, well, regardless if you've done this before or not, you want to talk about your relevant experience to this opportunity, right? So what makes you qualified to do whatever it is that you're doing or to sell whatever it is that you're looking to sell? What team assets do you have to advance? This is about a product. Do you have team assets or technology that will advance this or experience in those areas? Do you have advisors? This is where you want to start the conversation or really drive home who you are. Now we get into the meat and potatoes. So this is a section, this is the start of all business plans. What is the problem you are solving? I always like to also describe it as the gap in the marketplace, because maybe you say, well, I'm a restaurant. I'm not like solving a problem. I'm selling, I'm giving people a nice dining experience. It's not a problem, but you're filling a gap in the marketplace. So while it may not be a problem that you're solving, I'm not solving world hunger. I am filling this gap because there is no eating establishment like the one I'm proposing in whatever area I'm proposing it for. If you cannot identify what problem you're solving or what gap in the marketplace you're filling, it is likely not a viable, I'm not gonna say likely, it is not a viable business. All viable, successful businesses are solving a problem or filling a gap in the marketplace. Another way that you can address this or kind of think of this is, what is the current landscape, right? So, because that also illustrates what the gap is in the market. So here, his problem we're solving: there are no running shops or stores that serve runners south of Roosevelt Road in Chicago. Runners are left without easy access to gear or proper nutrition and forced to make long drives to get even basic essentials such as recovery shoes or tools. He could have had that same statement, and to make it more visual, had a map with pin drops showing where all of the specialty run stores are. And then you would visually see that there is a huge swath of the city that does not have one. And that is quite compelling. All right, you've identified a problem. What's your solution? Please, please, please don't think you have to be super deep. His solution, he gonna put one on the south side. It's like, so if it is just that straightforward, let it be just that straightforward, right? If you are, if you previously talked about it as the gap in the marketplace is X, then you can say our concept and our approach is Y to fill that gap. If you are proposing something that is a physical product, this is a great place to have a rendering or a mock-up of that product, some schematic of that product to start to get their wheels turning about what it is that you're proposing. Now we identified a problem, we gave a solution. Who is this for? Is where you're going to talk about your target market, your competitive landscape, the market side. This is not one slide. This is going to be 1 to 3 slides, right? Because you want to tackle the market size and opportunity. You want to talk about your competitors. You want to talk about all of these things. So it's going to be a few slides. This is an area, lead with graphics. These are 3 different examples from 3 different pitches. Your top right-hand corner, this is showing the market opportunity. So this is showing where there is what they call white space, right? So this particular company was proposing the one that is in the dotted circle, dynamic wound closure. So this is a medical device, not device, but a medical thing. And so you have, on your axis, the speed to close a wound versus the completeness of the seal of a wound. So you see that there are lots of things that can, speedily close a wound, but they're not complete seals. And so you have some white space, right? And you have white space where it matters. If you look, you can say, there's a lot of white space underneath those, but you don't want, what's valuable is not being short time to close the wound and doesn't seal it completely, right? And that's what white space no one cares about. You want to find something that has a good completeness of seal and a reasonable speed to closure. So this is identifying where there's a gap. The middle slide, this one is really drilling into your target market. and how you've identified your target market, which gets you to your market size. So they've identified the demographics of who they're talking about, certain age groups, certain characteristics in those age groups, and then they quantified it. So let me tell you, your market size and defining your market size and opportunity. This particular section and your financial projections are the two things that are going to require you the most time and research to complete. Doesn't mean they are that they're hard. It just means they will take time and research, right? When you are looking at defining your market and the size of that potential market, you know, ground zero, start with your census. Start with, there's a nonprofit program called MAPS Corp, MAPS Corp, where they teach students to do research and collect data and do data analysis on different neighborhoods. That's and you just John Q. Public can request some information. It's free. That's where you want to dig into, get some quantifiable information and develop your do the analytics around your market size. So in this particular example, they outline these three age groups. These age groups are in a specific zip code, I can tell you that. And so they started with the census and then drill down to MapCorp to get an understanding of how many people in the zip codes they were targeting fit into these age brackets. And that's how they, find out, okay, there are 27,000 people that fit who I'm targeting. From there, you have to make some assumptions in order to determine what is the value of those 27,000 people relative to what I am selling, to my product or to my service. So behind this slide, they had another slide that went into their assumptions. And these are literally their assumptions, right? When someone, and you'll hear me say this again when we get to the financials, particularly as a startup, anyone that is looking at this, they know that you don't actually know. I can't really tell. This was for a restaurant concept. The people who did this, they had no idea how much money 20 to 30-year-olds from the zip code would spend on seated dining, right? They don't know that. And yes, there are market and industry data companies that you can get this kind of information from, but one, it costs. Two, very often it does not drill down to the level of detail of like this zip code in this neighborhood, right? It's usually more at an aggregate of like a city level or maybe a whole neighborhood level, like it may be all South Side versus, or all Chicago versus this specific zip code. So it's harder to find that type of information. But again, you can make some reasonable assumptions. You can make assumptions. And what the person who is going to be reviewing this is going to be looking to see, are your assumptions reasonable? Or did you just throw a number out there? Was it just pie in the sky, right? And so you want to list out what the assumptions are behind. I can tell you from working with them that they made assumptions based on just living life and buying habits and their own observations of how frequent do these particular age groups dine out, and on average, how much would they spend each time that they dined out? And they use, and because that changes, right? You went out probably more often in your 20s, but you spent less money because you made less money, right? But you went out more often because you had less hard responsibilities than you did in your 40s, where you are more likely to have, all the trappings of adulthood. That means I can't go out as often, but when I do go out, I can afford to spend more money in that particular instance, but I'm going to do that much less frequently, right? And so those are the types of things that you line item out and make your assumptions. And from there, when you aggregate that all up, when they've said, okay, this age group is going to go out twice a week, they're going to spend, I'm making this up, $20 each time they go out. If you do that over the course of 52 weeks, that means this person, it has an opportunity of this dollar amount every year. And you take that and you multiply it by how many people you've identified in those groups. That's how you get to being able to say this has a market size, if you look at the bottom of that particular chart, of 59 million. Now, just be clear, that is the size of the opportunity. That's not you saying these people are going to spend $59 million a year with me. That's saying that's what's on the table for me. Okay. Then there are the competitors. And so you want to list out, 3, 4 competitors, and then why your solution is better. Just to be clear, when we talk about competitors, and this is where, again, we're kicking the tires to see if you've done the critical thinking, if you've done the research, or if we just out here saying stuff. We work here at Bill Brownsville with a lot of restaurants or a lot of food-based businesses. And I like to point out to everyone who is starting, maybe a fast casual or something, almost always, who are your competitors? They want to say, kind of your big 3. Oh, McDonald's or Chick-fil-A. No, it's not. You are not competing with McDonald's. I am here to tell you, McDonald's market cap, their ability to move, their ability to change prices on a dime and say, we're going to offer this for $3 today or 50 cents today and this special. You can't compete with that, right? Because of their size, because of their scale. So let's stop and let's really think, who am I actually hand-to-hand combat competing with, okay? To get the same attention of the folks that I want to get the attention of. Okay, so we've identified our market, our competitors, our target demographics. Now let's talk about your market approach. How are you going to get to those people? How are you going to reach your customers? What are your marketing activities and your sales channels? And these are just 3 examples of ways that you can illustrate that. Sales channels and marketing activities, a moment on that, because they are often, sales and marketing are often grouped together or used interchangeably, and they're not. So your sales channels are how you are going to get your product or service to your customer. Is it direct to consumer, meaning retail or online sales or catalog? Or is it through an intermediary? Are you selling through a dealer or a reseller or a distributor, right? And then your marketing activities explain how you attract attention. How do you build interest in your offering? How do you make people aware that you're there and what you do? Often I see people put for sales channel and marketing activity online or social media. Well, is your social media clickable, shoppable? If it's not, then that's not a sales channel. It's a marketing activity, but it's not a sales channel. Online or your website, same thing. If it is not, if I can't go on your website, put it in the cart, check out, have it shipped to me, then that's not a sales channel. Also, this is where you really need to think through, because guys, I'm here to tell you, social media and my website, those are not your only 2 outlets. I understand we live in a digital world, but because we live in a digital world, there's so much noise to break through to get to your customers online. You have to think through, what are all the ways that you are going to get to them? If we go back to last lap, if you look at the on the right-hand side, their slide on here, under marketing activities. Yes, he has social media, but he also has activation and events. I'm a run store, so I'm going to partner with run clubs. I'm going to try and get in with the Shamrock Shuffles and the different, known races of the city and things like that. Word of mouth. Word of mouth is still the number one for a small business, number one marketing channel. That is, any small business that is super successful, word of mouth is their best marketing channel. Partnerships, clubs, corporations. Again, I am going to partner with run clubs, as I said. I'm going to partner with a doctor's office. I sell running shoes. Podiatrists have people with bad feet. You know what? They need good, comfortable shoes, whether they're running or not. Those are partnerships. Those are ways that you get yourself out there. And then traditional flyers, billboards. These days, you actually will catch more people's attention with a physical presence, something physical and tangible as far as marketing, than you will online because you're competing with less, right? So think through all of those pieces. Okay. All right. Uh-oh, wrong one. Now let's get to the money. So identify my problem. I found a solution. I told you who I'm going after. I told you how I'm gonna go after them. Now let's get to the brass tacks. How much money am I gonna make? So on your financial and business model, you're gonna outline your financial forecast. It should be 3 years. It should be detailed. You are going to show in your pitch deck just a graph, either a graph or a chart like I have down here. But behind that, again, you're going to have all of your assumptions. So much like I was just saying on the market slide, anyone, if you are a startup, they know you have no idea how much money you're going to generate and how much profit you're going to have 3 years from now. If you knew that, you would be better suited using those abilities to go and play like the lottery, right? What they are looking to see is, have you made sound assumptions? What they're looking to see is that you don't have, if you have a graph like what's on the right-hand side, that it's not a hockey stick. That's what, in finance, we say, a chart that has a hockey stick, you know that the person has not thought through it. So if you think of how a hockey stick is shaped, it's flat right at the bottom and then takes a very steep incline to the top. No revenue actually happens like that in real life, unless like it's literally just the one-off, this person found a way to get their product into Oprah's hands and she put it in her favorite things and boom, look, it happened. That is literally a 1 in a million things. Okay. Your business model, how are you going to make the money? What are your sales channels? What is your revenue model? These are the things that you want to illustrate on, again, this is 1 or 2 slides. This is not just 1 slide. This is more or less going to be, 2 slides-ish. So we've talked about, and this is not just your revenue, right? If you look at what's on the left-hand side, this is a small income statement. It shows your revenue, your gross profit, and your operating expenses, and then your bottom line profit. I want to see that you thought through all of this. Don't come and just tell me, I'm going to make this amount of dollars in sales. Cool story, bro, but sales is not where things stop. You have all types of cost and expense that you have to take into account with it, okay? So now we've talked about the money. Now we're talking about the literal money shot. These 2 slides are going to be where most of your questions come in, your finance slides and then the ask. What are we here for? What do you want? Be explicit. This is not the time to be shy. This is not the time to hem and haw. What do you want? If you want money, put a dollar amount on the table. And then underneath it, a couple of bullet points, not a long exhaustive list, but a couple of bullet points of the main thing that you're going to do with that money, whatever it is that you're asking for. What are you going to accomplish with it? If you are asking for something that is non-financial, because remember, an investor is not the only person, or a lender is not the only person that you're going to present this to. If you're presenting this to a potential client, like if this is for a sales opportunity, if you are presenting to a partner, a potential partner, or your local municipality, what do you need from them? If you're presenting this to the community board or the alderman's office, your ask could, if it's to the alderman, it could be you need help with zoning. You're going to need help with obtaining the property. Make your ask specific. Behind your ask, you're going to have another short slide on, okay, so you asked me for X, what you going to do with it? What is your roadmap? How are you going to accomplish what you've laid out? What are your next steps? Don't just say, I'm gonna take this money into what are your specific next steps? What do you need to move forward? What's your timeline? This is a good point to have a literal timeline, right? What are your milestones, past, present, and future? Past, have things that are relevant to, big, I don't want to say big, but significant milestones. Don't say, I applied for my LLC on this date. Again, that's one of those cool story, bro. If you are looking to do a restaurant, again, we work with a lot of them, and part of my career, I did 10 years in corporate finance and strategy and 10 years in restaurants. So I give a lot of restaurant examples. But if you're looking to open a restaurant, I want to know that you ran your own catering company for X amount of years and served X amount of clients, or that you spent Y amount of years in the restaurant industry or whatever, those are the things that are past or past and present. That's what I mean in terms of your milestones and then your future milestones. And then last but not least, you want to call out your risks and how you plan to mitigate them. This again shows whoever you're presenting this to, that you have critically thought through this. This is real to you. This is not just a pipe dream to you. I don't care what your business is, there are risks in all of them. So what are the risks to your business, and how are you going to plan to work through those risks? These are your last two slides. You want to wrap it back up by circling them back to why me again? Because again, you are the investment. You want to reinforce major points in your presentation. You want to call out things like the traction you've already gotten, right? So we've already did this thing and we've started to work on this thing and we've already gained this one as a supplier or potential big client, et cetera, et cetera. You want to highlight, again, experience of the team. Is a great place, again, for visuals, be it showing you actively doing work in whatever the arena is that you're looking to do this, whatever the thing is that you do, or your prototype or future rendering of the building that you want to have, that type of thing. And then your final, wrap it up with a bow. This is your contact us slide, but please don't call it contact us. You're going to see on my last slide is going to say contact us. But in your pitch deck, that's not what you want. The same way that you started it with roping them in with something compelling to say, you want to you want to finalize, you want to seal the deal with something compelling to say. This is a great place for your vision statement or your value proposition statement. And then, of course, your contact information, right? So, he has Last Life Corner Store, his address, the website, the social handles, and his contact information. Just a note on that. You should not be pitching to anyone if you have not secured your domain and your social handles. That doesn't mean you need to have a full website, but you have the domain and you have a landing page that says coming soon with some type of imagery on it, not this domain is like a clean, simple landing page. Your social handles can literally just be your social handle with your avatar as your logo or whatever, and say coming soon. Like, you don't have to have built the whole thing out yet, but you should at least have those two assets. But look at how he wrapped it up. Every step, every stride, every meter, every breath, every tied shoelace takes fuel and recovery. Last Lap Corner Store's mission is to make sure you have what you need to power you through your workouts, group runs, or race days. Leave the big box store in the past and come to your friendly neighborhood corner store for runners. That's leaving an impression. That's tying it back into who they are, to what they're doing, why they're doing it. And if you go back to your know, feel, do, that certainly evokes emotion. That certainly gives a feel. That's how you want to seal the deal. Okay. So before I open the floor up to questions, just to go back to, as I said, your know, feel, do. If you take even this presentation, what did I want you to know? I wanted you to know the difference between a business plan, a pitch deck, and an elevator pitch. I also wanted you to then know the details of making a compelling pitch. I wanted you to feel informed, empowered. And I wanted you to be clear on where you start, right? For you, because the where to start is different for everybody else. And then I want you to do the work. I want you to, reach out to us. This is my final slide. I want you to reach out to us to help you sort this stuff out, but I want you to start to do the work. If you need some assistance in doing the work, boom, there it is. So same eCenter Direct. That's the same place that you signed up for this class. If you signed up to fully be a client, then one of us has probably already been in touch with you. If not, you can log right back into there, sign in to be a full client. We can help you with developing your business plan, developing your pitch, provide referrals, professional service providers, all the things and such. Here's our contact information. You shoot us an email at sbdc@billbrownsville.com. There's our website. If you are not located with us physically or familiar with where we are located physically, we're right on the corner of 51st and Prairie in Brownsville. Our address and our phone number. I will give this disclaimer: we don't do pop-ups, like drop-ins. So, send us an email or sign up to be a client, and we'll schedule an appointment to keep things going with you. So that is it. I always aim to finish up with at least 10 minutes. So I made it. Any questions? I saw the bubble go off a couple times, but it looked like Rebecca, took care of them. Any questions on the floor? You feel free to use the raise your hand feature if you want to just ask a question versus type it in. And if not, I will give everyone 10 minutes back of their afternoon. Awesome. Stop the share. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. I hope this was helpful. Like I said, the recording of this will go out. I don't know, possibly tomorrow or the live, but a recording of this will go out along with the slides themselves. And feel free to reach out to us for some direct one-on-one assistance. Thank you, everybody. Have a great, let's see. Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you. I appreciate that. You are very welcome. Thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon and rest of your week. Hopefully we'll talk soon. Bye.